Okay. It's still gonna be
It's
fun.
fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Danny, I hate to make you do this again. So we're gonna start all over.
No
Hello, everybody.
problem.
Hello, welcome to the live, to the ladies' date. So I'm Carissa Patterson Martinez of Be Free and CurseMarie.com, and we had some technical issues, and we had to sit it out. It told me that I could not connect with Facebook for 10 whole minutes. The 10 minutes felt like too long. So we are here with Dani and Meleza, and they are both my lady comedian friends. And we're gonna chat it up. We're gonna talk about how they got into it, the fact that they're living their dream, and not everybody, not everybody's brave enough to step out on that. But so we are going to have Dani introduce herself and tell us a little bit about how she got started.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I am Danny Thomas, or Danny Haha, as I go by. And I am it's a pleasure to be here. So I got into comedy. I was telling them how I started comedy after a coworker who was a stand-up comedian or is a stand-up comedian, Melanie Gresham. She we worked together and we spent most of our days working in property management, and we would just crack jokes with one another to just keep the day going. And one day she said, I have a podcast I sit on with some guys, they're stand-up comedians, and I had told her that I like to write and that I was going to become this author one day. And I had this book up in my head like Tupac had songs, and I was going to write it at some point, but I didn't know when. So she invited me on the show. She said, I need a guest. So she invited me on the show. And I'm sitting on the show and she's telling me, I said, I don't really have a book. You know that, right? And she's like, that's okay. You're not really a comedian either, but you're here. So let's make the best of it. So I sat there on the show with these comedians who had been up on stage, who had been doing all these fun things, and we were just back and forth. And I'm the type of person where I like to have fun, I like to laugh, and funny is funny. And we would go back and forth and just like ripping on each other, just ripping. And it was just it's fun times. And one of the comedians, he said, you could probably go up on stage and do this. I'm like, I don't know. So then another comedian said she couldn't do it. And I said, I'm sorry, what? His name was Marco, may he rest in peace. But Marco said, you can't do this. You wouldn't make it. I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, because you don't curse. He was like, you're too vanilla. You don't curse. You don't drop any F bombs. So you couldn't do this without cursing. And I'm like, what? Funny is funny. I've seen clean comedians, Crystal P. I've seen clean comedians, Kev on stage. I think that comedy is comedy. He says, okay. So eventually they came out. They said, they had a room. Melanie said, I have a room. I'm trying to get some comedians to come do some stand up. So why don't you do an open mic? Open mic means we don't pay you. Just go on up there and see what you got. So I was learning the terminology. So I said, okay. And again, Marco said she's not going to do it. She can't do it. And I was like, whoa, you're telling me I can't do something? Man, I smelled the challenge. So that was it. I was like, challenge, let's do it. So that first night I went up and I did the open mic thing and I fell in love with it. And it was like, there it is. And I have been doing this for almost 5 years now. So yeah, so he told me I couldn't do it. He told me that clean comedy was not really comedy. And I told him, I said, well, you know what, churches, because I was getting a lot of churches that were inviting me to come and do comedy after that. And I had a booker, and he said it's really hard to find clean comedians to go to these shows. So he would book me for clean shows, and it just kind of took off from there. And come to find out, churches I had been going to for years, they're like, "What? You do comedy? Come on, yeah, come on over to the church or whatever, and do some stand up for the ladies, or do some stand up for this anniversary." And I learned that the one thing I love about doing church comedy is when I go up on stage or when I'm walking off stage, my cash app rings. That's a beautiful sound. And I'm like, holy, thank you, Jesus. And they feed me. So there's always a plate. So I always get to eat and I get paid. So it was just a beautiful thing. So yeah, so I honestly I just fell in love with it and it's what I do. So yeah,
Aw. All right, Danny, I'm gonna ask you to. We can only see your eye, and there
yeah,
we
yeah.
go.
Honestly, I
Yeah, there. perfect. There, oh,
There
there
we
you
go.
go.
There we
Yep,
go.
yep,
Okay.
we got you.
Okay, there we
Danny,
go.
I mean, that's pretty cool. And you know, church folks, though, can be tricky
They can.
because they can be very judgmental. I know, I grew up in a church. Okay. So, I mean, that's like not
That's
necessarily an easy crowd. So,
it.
Melissa,
It's not.
how did you get involved in comedy?
Well, I'm on the opposite spectrum. God loved hoes too. That's all I can say. So he, I kind of fell into it by accident. I met Bill Bellamy's sister or on a humbug. I me to my first comedy show, which I didn't go to the next day. I wanted to go on the next day, and I didn't know how to reach him. So I contacted the comedy club, thought I was a groupie. I didn't know what else to do, so I opened a Twitter account and I did Bill Bellamy and let him know that he could get in contact with Emory, let him know that the tickets people wanted to go that night and said, call Fat Fish Blue. I thought he was jonesing on me, like, call there and get tickets. But I called and they said, yeah, come 2 hours early. I came like 5 minutes show. And they put me right up against the stage, and I thought that was like the best seat in the house. I'm like, give that away. Like, wow, they saved that for me. I didn't know that was quote unquote roast seat. But as I'm there, and that was my first at a show, while they were the first woman performing, I was talking under my breath and she could hear me. So we had dialogue back and forth between us. The whole room was cracking up. So when I left, some women came up to me and said, that was the first time I've ever been to a show where they involved somebody in the audience. Oh, I said, I wasn't part of our show. And they said, you guys been playing that? And I said, no. And they were like, really need to do that. And then the lady performing out, and she said, you really need to do that. I didn't think I was funny. I'm kind of a literal thinker. So it comes off as quick-witted. Other, so I ended up going to comedy shows sporadically, and the guys at the radio station were like, these comedians are asking for you when they come, like they want you to hang out with them. But I'm like, what? So I started doing that, and they just encouraged me. And then the guy from Fat Fish Blue up with Chili Chalice, the writer for David Letterman for 25 years. And
Yes, Chili Chalice. Yes,
yes,
yes.
yes. And he invited me to his dojo, and I was telling Chris this, and he was like, come to the class. And I kept thinking, why would I pay to do something I don't even want to do? Like, I'll just come and watch. And I went to his show where his class was graduating and performing, doing the open mic, and I got about 3 or 4 drinks in me, and he was asking me if I could do it, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure can. And he said, when? And I said, right now. And I went up there and I 15-minute set, and I got down, and he was like, he didn't do my class. He was like, you're natural. He said, you could have went past the 15 minutes had they not have blinked the light. He was like, you can do it. And I got in the car, and it was kind of surreal. I was like,
Wow.
and it's just a feeling like inside, it was like, I'm supposed to do that.
Wow.
And I'm
That's
so
a
sorry
big
to cut
thing.
you off, but Chili he was on the show. He was actually on the sitting down stand up show, and it was just like just to listen to him. May he rest in peace. But he was just an amazing mentor, and it's hard for women. I was telling Chris, it's hard. It's a really a male dominated industry.
But
So
I have a kind of complex a little. Like I'm the show, my other show, Ask M, the expert at great sex and failed relationships. I'm comfortable talking about things that make other people uncomfortable in a way that they're comfortable.
that's comedy. That's a talent right there. That's definitely a skill.
Okay, Melissa, we have an echo coming from your mic.
Come
Say
back.
something. Something. Anything.
Something.
Uh. Oh no. Okay. Say something
Any
else.
better?
Something.
Well, the echo is not necessarily there. We're just a skip behind, but I'd rather have that than the echo.
Okay.
Well, okay, so the cool thing is, you guys, and that was going to be my question, but you didn't really you didn't really know from birth, or from childhood, that you wanted to be a comedian.
No.
No,
No.
I was people making fun of me.
Yeah.
See, I was a Yo Mama jokes, and I would sit there and listen to the guys at school do the Yo Mama jokes, whatever, and I would come home and try it on my sister, and my dad would even jump in and be like, and my mom would be like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. So, it was just more so all in fun. And that was pretty much the most of it. So it wasn't until, like I said, I was scared and I was told I couldn't do it. Like, I'm about to do this. So I'm about to do this.
Oh, but see, like I said, I was a real literal thinker. So when people talk about me, my feelings got so hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think things in my head to say back to them, but I wouldn't because I didn't want to hurt anybody. So as I got older and that kind of developed, I was like, okay, well, people like that. So go ahead and say it.
Right.
Yeah, it was a comfortable spot
That's
for you at that
it.
point.
And then I started liking it. I'm like, okay, you can get a lot off your chest.
Yeah. Now, so that's the thing. So you guys work with fairly different audiences, and we know one of the best things for Dani is the good food. When you go to church, and what are some of the good parts of being a female comedian, and what's like the worst that you run into?
You can go.
Dani?
Okay, I'll go first.
Okay, Meleza.
I think the best thing is for me the shock value. I get off on the shock value. I'm not what I look.
Yeah.
They think. The worst part would probably be. Oh, I really haven't had a bad part yet.
That's good.
Yeah, I like everything. So the bad ones are learning it. So
Yeah.
I like it all. Even when people, some people try, like they think, okay, well, you're funny. See if I can get you mad. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not personal. You learn not to take it personal. Serious.
Mm-hmm. See, here's how I know I couldn't be a comedian. Although I think I'm naturally funny, but I could never. Because number one, don't you both have to write like your stuff? That's one, and I don't. That's not fun. And number two, I think even though I would tell myself I'm not gonna take it personal, I might catch a case by accident because I might take it personal. Or, because them hecklers, I see how the hecklers do.
No. The best part I'd have to say for me is the best part is being able to have people come in to support. It's like we're coming to see Dani, we're coming to see, it's like that. It's like that attention thing. It's that rush. It's that they're here to see me. They're here to see me. Hecklers, it's the same thing. It's like they're here to see me. They're about to be a part of the show.
True.
First time I went up, I did have a woman who was heckling someone who had went up before me. And on my way up, I just leaned down and I'm like, sweetheart, I work alone. Keep this in mind. And she was like, oh, I was like, you want to be a part of the show? I'll make you a part of the show. She got up and went into the bathroom and she did not come back out until after my show to tell me that she heard me while she was in the bathroom and I was funny. And I was like, okay. But hecklers used to scare me. And then I had another comedian. Oh my gosh. Detroit has some amazing comedians that are no longer with us, but Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid was amazing.
Oh,
Oh my
Yes,
goodness. Yes, I
rest in
love
peace,
him.
Kool-Aid.
Yes, he hurt and broke a lot of hearts when he passed away. But the one
Yeah.
thing that I will always take with him is Kool-Aid said, Danny, you're the one with the mic. You're louder than anybody else out here. So if they want to come to the show, let them come to the show. If they want to be a part of the show, make them a part of the show. And I haven't
Oh,
seen mean hecklers. I have had people who've been like, I always wanted to do comedy, da da da, and they come up and they say, you know who's funny? You know, you should try to do Adele Given. You should try to do so and so. And it's like, what? No, no, I'm not going to do their stuff. That's their stuff. Like, we don't do that.
That's
That's called
crazy.
plagiarism. Like, we don't
People
do
would
that.
say that. That even
So I hate that part where people want to try to critique and telling me how I should try to do somebody else's stuff. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do that.
it doesn't even sound logically right. Like
It
sound
doesn't.
like
But it's like, no, you pay to go see them, you pay to come see me. We're two different. So I think that kind of is the thing. But even doing, I'm performing for the other stops. June 19th, I'm doing another event in Brush Park, downtown in Brush Park. I'm going to be opening for Jazz R Us. They are a jazz group, and they're going to be doing a couple of different activities touring around the downtown Detroit area. So I will be doing some openings for them this summer or whatever. But it's just like funny. It's funny. So regardless of if it's the language, if it's not the language, it's fun. So yeah, I think those would probably be the one thing, the good thing, and then they want it to be the bad thing, but still gonna be the good thing because my mic is louder than you sitting there half drunk off your butt. So yeah,
that's pretty cool though. Now, Meleza, Meleza, you also have, and this is kind of cool to be a comedian and do this because you can kind of feed off of that. A podcast. Am I saying that
yes.
right?
I'm
English?
getting ready to start. Well, we supposed to launch in January, but life happened. I had things going on, but I'm ready to launch Ask Them for a great celebration. And I'm going to incorporate a friend of mine, and half of the show is going to a segment called Two Hoes in a Show. And Ho stands for hopefully optimistic, and we're gonna touch on. Well, I'm running up on 50. I'm single by choice, not by force. I've raised all that, and the dating scene is definitely different. My wants, desires, and mate are totally different than when I was younger. And we're gonna be discussing taboos. We're also going to reflect on a lot. I'm in the development of a sex addiction recovery program right now, so that people take sex addiction seriously, just like shopping.
I'm still hearing an echo. I'm trying to on my end adjust. That's that's awesome. And you and I were talking about the fact that that's a whole nother show. That's something that needs to be talked about and not tiptoed around because it's a real issue and it is to be
Yeah, it's
taken
a serious
seriously.
issue.
it is. It
But
is.
I think it's
And that's
fascinating that you guys are both two different genres of comedy. But the cool thing is, a lot of the same people. But you're both in Michigan,
Mhm.
so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said Kool-Aid, and I just lit up Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Daryl Banks, Michael Bonner.
Michael Bonner, Simply Chanel, T-Bar.
Yeah.
Follow her on Instagram, and I shout out people because I'm like, if they make it, we all make it. So I'm constantly just like, okay, because they have truly given me opportunity after opportunity to come onto the show, come to my set, come, Coco. I've opened for Coco before. I mean, it's just been a constant. Detroit has the funniest people. It's like, it's
And
weird.
they've been. I think that's one of the good things too. Like I've been an undercover.
Mhm.
Like I've been writing, and when I go and perform, I go perform, come back, and I don't tell anybody. And people are like, why don't you tell? I'm more comfortable around strangers.
Yes,
Like
definitely.
those, I look at those like my one night stand.
I like it. Awesome, awesome.
So you know how I found out that Meleza was a comedian is on her Facebook page because you know she wasn't talking about it. I just happened to be scrolling and I saw it was a picture of herself outside of a club. It was a comedy club, some kind of club, and talking about how she booked a comedy gig. I'm like, when and how and what for what? So
Yeah, and that was just on a humbug. My goddaughter worked out there, and I said, well, while I'm out here, let me stop and sit down. And she wasn't the proprietor anymore. And when I went to go talk to the lady, she was like, oh yeah, you know, I got a spot. Need one more person. If you want to come back in a few weeks, and I'm like, sure.
now remind me, was that in Michigan?
No, that was in Ohio.
In Ohio, because I know you travel.
Yeah.
So okay, that was in Ohio. Oh my goodness.
Mm.
So do you guys? This is a crazy question. I really have no idea what I'm asking, but do ever the two worlds meet? Like, would you all ever be in the same kind of like venue?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, my theory was always have laughs, will travel. So if you will laugh, I want to travel. So
Right, and people that want to laugh, they don't care if it's, well, some people don't care if it's dirty. You know what I'm saying? But as far as clean comedy, like, yeah, she would be welcome in any venue that I was in just because it's clean.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Sometimes the clean comedy laugh the dirty because, you know, again, some people vulgarity as a way to get their point across. You don't have to get any. The joke can go a lot further when sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, some people maybe don't have the tools or the skill set. You know what I mean? Without it, when you think about it, you know, like. But wow.
I mean, I can be clean. Don't get me wrong, but I would never try to be preacher's wife. Like I do cuss. It slips out. It's natural. I don't.
Look,
my husband does comedy.
I'll be
He's
right in the
definitely it's
middle
not
if
clean
it were
either.
me.
So.
Because I'm not a
Oh,
comedian.
really?
Wait, say again, Danny?
She said her husband does comedy.
Yes, he started off doing comedy. He hasn't done it in a while, but he started off doing comedy, and it's not. And everyone's like, you guys should do like a morning and afternoon comedy show. And I'm like, still too early for him, too early.
Now, see, Danny, earlier when Carissa was talking about the other day when we were talking, I couldn't get off with Danny and I couldn't get off with Meleza, and I'm like, see, my mind is like, I have never heard somebody say they couldn't get off with me.
But I went there with you.
Yeah, I know. That's why I saw you look. It went right over Carissa's head, but I saw the look in your eye.
Like what? That's never happened.
Really? Really? Really?
That was Nezra. That was a Nezra, though. You look like your
Really?
sister there. She's like, really?
It takes me a minute sometimes. Look. How come y'all didn't like let me know?
Yes. You're hilarious. Hilarious. Definitely.
Mama, don't listen. Don't listen. Don't listen, Mama.
Look, Mama knows.
Mama no.
Oh
Mama
my
no.
goodness. But it's crazy because I genuinely get excited about seeing somebody do the stuff they love to do. Like, I'm a big kid when it comes to that. Like, I'm like, oh, and then I'll start to stalk you a little bit. And I shouldn't say that because I'm going to catch a case. They're going to be like, oh, that crazy girl stalking me. But, you know, because then I'm like, oh, let me see what she's about to do. You
Right.
Well, look, just a tip about stalking. I know this personally. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
You said it's what? You said it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. She's absolutely right. And let me tell you something. I know about stalking too. I mean, he married me and it stopped, but I mean, I had to go for mine. I had to go for mine. So it happened. So that's what I did.
Here's a fun. Since I'm just talking to a couple of comedians, do you guys? I have a crazy stalking story, but do and I'll tell you. I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
Okay.
Okay. Here's my. Here's a crazy stalking story. So years and years ago, I was like in my late 20s, and I always knew that I never wanted to live in Michigan, not because I don't love my people, but because it's so cold. I can't. I might die, and but we
Right.
won't die. So,
We're dying over here, Carissa. We're dying.
but I had moved to, and my parents were like, who you know in Virginia? It's crazy that I'm here now. And I'm like, I don't know anybody. I'm transferring. I work for a radio station. I just started working. I was just an account executive. I was never on the air. But anyway, so I worked for a radio station, and I transferred my job to Richmond, Virginia. And I don't know if I should. Well, I don't even know who this person is, so I'm free to say it. I won't say her name. But I'm about to just put my. Let me just say first, I am very happily married to Michael Martinez, who I love so much. He is my world, my heart. I love him. Let's just okay. Now, so anyway, so I had this is way before him, and I met this person who I thought was my knight in shining armor. Now, mind you, I went down there. I didn't know anybody, but I was kind of dating someone. And so that wasn't kind of cool that I would think about dating somebody else. But that was kind of a free spirit, okay? I was just kind of like, I didn't really have the patience for a relationship for real. I don't even know what I was thinking. Anyway, so I met this guy. He was fine, right? And so I was young and stupid, and then it went too fast. So I got a place, and he was supposed to kind of move in again too fast, too soon, and but he was like, well, but maybe we should think about moving to Atlanta. I'm like, I just got to Virginia. So, well, I know, but the jobs and stuff I want there in Atlanta. So he was interviewing for jobs, whatever, and he had an ex-girlfriend that was, and she was older than us. Like we were in our 20s, and she was like in her 40s, whatever. And I guess. And I found this all out from his dad. Anyway, so there was some messing around going on, and that was crazy back then. And so I was like, where's my man at? He's not coming. It's been like 3 weeks. What's going on? So I drove myself to Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, girl. To the job. I went to the job. Do you know Django? Yes, I did. And do you know his woman worked at the same job?
Oh.
Yes. And so my young mind was just like, can you just imagine yourself? Okay, so I was just like, I was like, hell no. And I've driven 10 hours for this? I was just not in my right mind, right? And so the crazy thing is, of course, I did the most, and then I think I maybe caused some car issues, I just did the most because, yeah, that's what you get, you know what I'm saying? I just felt like it was coming to you, right? And so then I was like, I'm done! And so I leave, and I couldn't even leave right away. I was stranded for a couple of days because I had car issues, so I had...
You didn't even have a good getaway vehicle?
No gas.
I had to
no gas.
Now with him, I had to stay with his African friend. That's one other thing. He had gone to Africa too, and all kind of stuff happened in Africa, and I found pictures later. Yes, girl. And so anyway, I was stranded in this place I didn't know for a couple of days. And so I'm like, I finally get back home to Richmond, and I find my mind, and I'm like, okay, this is not healthy. All right, I need to focus on maybe getting out of Virginia. Like, maybe I need to go back to Michigan or, whatever. So I was preparing myself and I had just gotten my oldest daughter to move there. And this was just a mess. So anyway, so I was like, I am going back to Michigan. And as soon as I'm about to plan to go back to Michigan, I'm sleeping at night. He's calling. I'm ignoring the calls at this point. he comes to the house and he's like knocking on windows and on doors all through the night. I'm like, what's going on? And so my mom called my police friend in Michigan. He's like, do something, can you help? And I'm like thinking to myself in hindsight, what is he gonna do? He's in Michigan, but whatever. You know, cops have friends, so they called his friend and they came out to kind of watch my situation. But I'm like, don't we do some stupid stuff in our 20s? I'm like, how did I even survive? How am I not dead or in jail or like
Grace of God, the grace of God.
like, crazy, right? But he became a stalker for a minute. Like he was like not going away, and I'm like, but you have a whole woman. What are you doing?
Them be the ones.
Those are the ones. But no.
It was crazy. Okay, tell me about your stalker story.
Let's see. I had the guy who he moved out. I used to manage apartment complexes, and I had this apartment complex, and he was moving out when I was starting. So I was just coming in, and he was being asked to move out by the previous manager, whatever. So he came in and turned in his keys. We started talking. Okay, fine, whatever, great. Well, you know, I'm good. I'm at work. This is my place of employment. So he would still come by, and I'm like, it was different things. I got to get my utilities cut off, and then he would hang out, or it was, you know, I was just in the area. It kept constantly, and I'm like, dude, what do you want? And he's like, no, go out with me. I don't really want to go out with you because I really wasn't that attracted to him, but other than that, it was just like, I work here, and no thanks. So he kept on, and it got to the point where every time, like, me and my girls would be somewhere, I was just in the area. I was just around the corner. I was just, and my friends are kind of crazy, and so am I. And I have a lot of male friends who are crazy too. So what we decided to do was we were going to end this once it got to the point where he was just really showing up, like in the same apartment complex where I lived at. What are you doing here? You know, how do you even know that I'm here? And come find out, he was married, but his wife was overseas and coming home. So it was like, again, you have a whole wife. Are we really doing? She is protecting our country. This is what you're doing.
Wow.
So we decided that we were going to stalk the stalker. So we stalked him. So we went to his job, and we went and he knew his wife was coming home, and you know she kind of like just came home. So we stalked him, and that's how we knew about the wife. And then the girlfriend of mine friended the wife, you know, on just some gym type stuff and da da da. And he got really scared, and then he just kind of stopped coming around. So yeah, I don't recommend it to anybody. This was early 2000s when life was safer, so I don't recommend it to anybody. But yeah, we had to take care of that. So that's what we did. We stopped him.
Okay, Meleza, you got a stalker story?
Well,
It could be you or the other person.
well, see, I stalked the weed man, and he became my boyfriend for 11 years. So that's one. But I had a stalker in Tennessee. I got arrested, and the police officer, totally not my fault. I was justified. The police officer one of the 4 police officers that arrested me, took all my information, and the next day when I got, well, it was the morning because I was only in jail like 4. But when I got home, my phone rang, and it was Officer Smith, and he wanted to know, did I make it home okay? Was I all right? You know, did everything work out? Do I have to go back? So I'm like, oh, that was my first time going to jail. So I said, wow, they got a really good follow-up program. So he had to be under those circumstances. So I just thought it was a follow-up call, honestly. So he took all my information: birthday, social security number, address, phone number, where I work, everything. So I'm at work one day, and they're like, Meleza, you have delivery at the front desk. I go to the desk, and it's bouquet of flowers and lunch. I ain't eat the food. I don't know who it came from. You're not going to mix me at work. But Um, and I'm a foodie, so that says a lot. So I go home that night, and he calls my phone again and asks me, did I get the delivery at work? And I was like, yeah, that's so sweet. At first I said, okay, that's so sweet. Then I'm leaving my house one day and I see police lights behind me. Now I lived in the hood. He pulled me over right in front of the house, not to be pulled over in front of,
Oh no.
just to talk.
Oh,
I said, you can't do that.
can't do that.
Now you are overstepping your boundaries. And he started to get very pushy, very pushy, very pushy. And one day I got home from work and there were some kids in front of my house, and me and my girlfriend went into my apartment and called me and told me, call the police. There was somebody in front of my house with a gun. I'm thinking, you are police. He said, I can't call. I'm not supposed to be over here. He was at the corner of my house and he was on duty. So I hung up on him. Me and my friend sitting there blazing like Indian chiefs. My phone rings and somebody knocked on the door at the same exact time. So we're like, I said, I get the phone, you get the door. I answered the phone and they were like, Tennessee Police Department, we had a call about somebody there with a gun. My best friend came back in the room and was like, your front yard is full of police. So now I'm terrified. The house full of weed, smoke. I cracked the door. When I cracked the door, all you see coming out is weed smoke. And the lady said, we had a call here about somebody with a gun. I said, I didn't call. You need to call Officer Jimmy Smith, who wasn't supposed to be in the area. He the one that called. I don't know nothing about that. So now they're mad because I done dropped a dime on their officer. And she's like, well, if I was you, ma'am, I'd leave the bud alone. Good thing she wasn't me. I closed the door and told my friend, we need to go out the back. She said, no, we can't go nowhere. They can get us if we go out there. You stay right here and finish this fellow, girl. Calm down.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. Oh, we have to fix it someday, girl. I'm telling you.
That
We
is
saw
crazy.
some stories.
I've been a stalker too before, allegedly.
I mean, I did too, but he married me, so that's fine. So it's like, okay. But you have to understand my reasoning behind it. Okay, here's a grown man. He got like his own house. He had his own car. He had a 401k and stock options.
Okay.
Come on now. Who wasn't gonna stalk that grown man? I stalked that grown man down the aisle. I stalked him. I hope he home still. I heard the front door open. I hope he ain't leaving, but he's still here.
Oh wow.
No, I see. That's people always say I'm not gonna have a man because I don't put my best foot forward. I'm too old for that. I don't want to mislead anybody. I want to know what they're getting out the gate.
Yeah.
When I went to LA and all them guys were like, oh, why don't you have a man? You don't date. I know. I think it's court order.
It's a lot of
I have to sign a permission slip to mess with me because I don't know. We might be counseling for weed and date.
I got married late, and I think a lot of it is because I was on my own so long, and I was kind of like, I'm just gonna be the fun auntie, because number one, I kind of like get bored quickly, you know what I'm saying? Like, or it's just like,
But look, I started to think about it.
Huh?
I started to think about it because, okay, I'm 50, so I'm not going to see the 25 and 50 year anniversary and stuff like that. So I started thinking, I think I'm going to be the perfect wife and I can live up to my vows till death do us part because I don't think I'm going to get married till like 70, so we're not going to have a lot of life left.
Look, we're like that with kids, man. And my mom told me that. She said, who's going to take care of you guys? In your old age, you don't have kids. Okay, I'll be 45. He's 52. We're at old age, lady. I mean, do they sell those on Amazon or something? Because it's just not. And as far as marriage, let me say something. I'm one and done. I'm not doing this again. I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I was ready to jump the room with an inmate told me he wanted to grow old with me, swing on the swing and feed me Geritol. I said, when he said that, oh, you got my heart, nigga.
And he lives in a gated community, girl. He had bars.
You feed me Geritol on the porch swing?
On the porch. and he lives
That's
in a
love.
gated community. That is
You know
love.
what?
He is
That's what you want, though.
providing.
You want somebody that's gonna stick with you.
Yes.
You're like,
Yes, I want somebody that's willing to help me change my diaper,
I
all
feel
that.
bad, like for my. I love Michael, but you know, I think he gets impatient with me because I get impatient with him sometimes because he's got, you know, been in the military. He's got some back issues, and I be trying to be empathetic. I am. Look, don't be trying to come after my husband because look, I love my husband. Don't you think? But I gotta say that because you know it'd be women out there like I take care of him, right? But what I'm trying to say is
Yes.
sometimes, like I'll notice he'll be in great pain when you know all day long, but when he's like on the phone with his buddies and they really he in it out, you know what I'm saying? And he'll be walking around like he ain't got no pain or whatever. And like the next day, like, well, you want to go to the, you know, let's go to this event. Girl, you gotta tell me in advance. Just yesterday, you were just like walking around, running up and down the stairs, and now you can't go. So, you know, so I can't be empathetic. Like, you know, I mean, to a point. That wrong?
No.
Okay.
No, I can't say that you are. I mean, I truly get it though. I can't say.
I mean, I tried, but it's kind of like, which one is it?
What? What's that look? What's that look, sis? What's that look? She like, what's that look?
But
Well, you know,
but for real,
I believe in giving a man energy in the morning and taking it at night. That's
y'all.
Has to happen. Mama, turn your camera off, mama. Turn your camera off, mama, if you listening. Because I totally agree. Turn your camera off, daddy. Don't listen. I've been married 53 years. Let me tell y'all. So, my parents both are COVID survivors, right? My mom was on the ventilator. This was a little over a year ago. So, they've been married 53 years this week. My dad came to stay with us because he didn't want to go home. I didn't want him to go home without my mama being there. So he came to stay with us. My father sat there and told us, he said, I'm going to have to go home now. I said, oh, okay, you sure? He's like, yeah, because y'all be too loud in your bedroom. Daddy, where was I conceived at? A library, sir? And we are not being loud because we know that you are right here. He just wanted to go home. He just didn't want to stay here no more. He told me my mama cooks every day. He told me he don't eat leftovers. My mother was like, he'll eat it if you get hungry. I said, Daddy, put a little cheese on it. It's brand new. It ain't leftover. It ain't leftover. My daddy, he could not. I was like, we could never live together ever again. We can't do it. But no.
Oh wow.
And she did. They've been married 53 years. So I say that Chris to say 53 years. And she's still dealing with you cooking for him every single. We don't do that.
Wow.
No. My husband, what's for dinner? I'm telling you, what's for dinner? What's for dinner? What's for dinner? Those are three best words in a marriage. What's for dinner? Because to me, that's why he needs some peanut butter and jelly. So
now the best 3 words is we eating out.
that too. But what's for dinner follows up with I don't care. You don't care? Well, we sit here making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches then, because that's what that is. That's why I don't care is peanut butter and jelly. And fellas, if y'all seeing this, I'm here to tell y'all it is not romantic to want to cook food and cook a meal with your girl. We are irritated because you're in the way. Go watch TV. I just have to put that disclaimer out there. I hate that. True.
So okay, we got all.
I love a man that can cook and that can eat.
Yes.
I don't know how do we okay.
I don't know.
The crazy
You
thing
asked for it
is,
to say comedians, and that was
this
it.
is so much fun, and so like I like the fact that we are off script because what else can you do with comedians? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think.
Oh, we have script.
Right. I don't think I have some kind of blueprint, but I don't think so. Like your family members, how did they take it when you're like, I'm gonna be a comedian? You know, like.
Let's see. My parents were all for it. I mean, up until they got sick or whatever, they would come to every single show and they would sit in every single performance. And my mom would sit there, but my mom would sit there when comedians got up there and they would start, telling stories or whatever, not so clean comedians. My mom would be sitting there with her nose pointed in the air. She's like, you're not my audience. I'm here for my daughter. You're not my audience. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing this. But they would still come. So they were okay with it. Other family members was just like, don't talk about me. I'm like, let me tell you something. I spent too much time writing material. If I was just going to talk about you, that would make it easy. Um, Pastor, who is also my uncle, my favorite uncle, but he knows. I don't know why I'm whispering. Everybody knows he's my favorite uncle. But he said, I saw it in you years ago. I was just waiting for you to get up to the mic. So it was like, oh, okay. But he's a comedian. So he retired from the pulpit back in December. And he told me I might do some comedy. I'm like, go for it, man. Go and do it.
The pastor.
Yeah. So they were all very supportive.
They the funniest. You know they got stories. Meleza, how about your family? How did your loved ones and your friends, and how did they?
My friends and my family are so supportive. I was so like I was nervous just like when I had my first publication. It was for erotica, and I waited 6 years before I even told anybody because I was like, I don't want them to know I'm thinking that. I mean, they knew I was doing it, but I didn't want them to know I was thinking things too, you know. So I was nervous because I I don't know. I just like to do stuff. I don't really like.
To announce it.
Yeah, because I don't really want to know what people think.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah. So I mean, you know what I'm saying? When they find out whatever they think, that's fine. But I don't want to do it and then hear what they think beforehand.
Yeah.
That's how we should all be, because I have to admit that some of the things that I want to do, and I'm learning as I grow, when it's really, really, really important to me, I know, number one, sometimes hold it to myself until I'm ready to put it out there. And then other times I just know who I can talk to about it and who maybe I shouldn't. Because if I talk to that person who I love and respect so much and they say, well, that's stupid, then I'm going to, even though
in the back of your head,
even though I can
plant
say
those seeds of doubt.
I don't care what they say, but I hear it. You know what I mean?
And even our loved ones who have our best interests at heart, you know, the enemy is crafty.
Yeah.
And so many things by design are set up to discourage us from walking in our purpose. And sometimes those who love us the most, you know, don't realize the effect they have on us from things they say because, you know, their opinions mean a lot to us.
I think you guys touched on it. Someone touched on it. You knew, you could feel, you know, when you guys are on stage, you know that's what you're supposed to be doing. Like, no doubt about it, right?
Yeah. You
That's
kind
good.
of it's kind of that vibe. Like, yeah, this is it. This is it. I'm here. This is what. And I'm not. I mean, to be really transparent, whenever I get ready for a show, I'm always like, man, I don't know if this is something. I'm nervous. I don't know. I never talked to this crowd before. Now, if it's someplace like a church or, you know, people I'm used to being around or I performed before in front of, then I'm like, okay, yeah, let's listen to this. But if it's new people, I'm just like, I don't know all these people. I don't know if I want to do this. And I really try to talk myself, it's gonna be my last performance. It's gonna be my last show because I'm not as funny as this person. I'm not as funny as that person. Then I get up there and then I kill it, and I'm like, man, I can't see doing nothing else. Let me see if I can move my 401k over. Let me see if I can do this full time. You know, it's like, wait a minute, wait a minute, pump your brakes, pump your brakes. You don't have that HBO special just said they just let you do a 45-minute set. Oh, okay. So, but yeah, it's exhilarating, and it's like afterwards, like yes. But for me, right before, I'm like, I don't know. But I love
And
it.
Carissa, remember, I think I already told you this. I had heard people say, you know, if you get nervous, imagine you're naked. But for me, like, Dani doesn't know. Like, I mean, I really have a history. I have Will Chamberlain numbers. And I just imagine that I've slept with everybody in the audience.
But I don't want to think about Deacon Rollins. I don't want to think about Deacon Rollins, okay? Because I'm in the church. I don't want to think about you.
Look, preachers do it too. I'm just saying.
Oh, God.
No, they do.
Hilarious. Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, and the more you do it, you gotta feel more, I'm sure, more in your element. Like, okay, each time is like, oh yeah, this is good. This is right. This is right for me.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just like sex. Like, the next time you do it, you know your groove, and then you can add things to it, take away from it. It gets better, with the partner.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I remember Chili telling me one time, I said, I totally forgot about this, that, and that. He was like, okay, but you got another show coming up in a few minutes. Just start with that one. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, all right, great. He said, because
Chili told me the third show I ever did. It was supposed to be 15 minutes. I took my ex-boyfriend and my friend with me, and 15 minutes turned into 7. And Chili was like, it happens. We all bomb sometimes. Don't worry about it. And I said, no, Chili, I did that on purpose. He was like, well, why? And I said, because now I know don't bring the people you talking about.
you know what? And it's funny, I had that happen. No, I had that
Some
happen.
people can laugh at themselves, though. But
Yeah.
this man in particular, like the look on, because Chili said, well, they wouldn't know that he's with you. No, they would from the look on his face.
Let me
Yeah,
tell
he
you.
he did that
No,
to
at least he
himself
knew. At least
by the
he
look on his
knew.
face.
I had my ex. He did. He showed up. His mother was coming to the show. His mother and aunt. They wanted to see me. I loved them dearly. They were coming to the show. I didn't know he was coming, but I did have a set about my ex, and I do this whole thing or whatever. And he sat there, and after the show, they were like, "Oh my God, that was so funny." His mama knew I was talking about him. He was like, "Well, I mean, it ain't like I'm the only ex-boyfriend you ever had." No, but you're the only one that made it to my comedy. But you really think this was about him? I'm like,
That's what I told the ex. He actually called me a couple weeks ago. He was like, I'm so sorry, I know you hate me. And I said, no, actually, I don't. I need to be thanking you.
Right,
And
you
he's
got
like,
to
for
do
what? I
something
said, boy, I got so much material from our relationship.
they don't realize it, but it's like, yeah, we got material on you, and it's worth it. And then one of my exes, he actually does. He is a actor. He's done some acting, and oh my God, I use so much material from that, and it's just like boom, 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 and I go straight. I'm like, I knew he was good at this. This was his
And I
craft.
don't mail bash.
I
Please
don't need
believe me, I
that.
don't mail. I love men. I like to uplift men.
I
When I expose situations with men, really, it's for the benefit of other men, so that they don't get in the situation where I have to light them up.
It's a learning experience for them.
It's like caution, caution. Like this is a warning.
Yeah. See, I tell them I don't play them games. I'm the coach.
She said she the coach. Don't try me, try Jesus. Yes.
So,
That don't work.
So it's like I can't imagine what it would be like for you guys because or any comedian because how do you not you have to talk about your experiences because
You
that's
do.
what it is, right? But like I'm not a comedian, but I talk about things that are important to me. But there are some things I really want to talk about, but I have to pull back from because sensitive family members or what I mean,
Yes.
like they're
Oh,
in it, but
definitely.
it's I know, right? But it's kind of like it's difficult because I know this is something that could help someone else. And it's something I did a little skit, like it was like a funny Monday skit one time years ago, and I was just talking about random stuff. And one of the things now I'm about to do it again and be in trouble.
Oh, my phone is about to die.
Your phone's about to die.
Right.
Okay.
I've been there.
I'll
Mine
keep
did that.
talking while you
That's why
find the charger.
mine
But
did
so
that.
I was just
I told you I'm in a stranger's house, girl.
I
I need a charger.
literally.
Do
But
they know you in their house though? Do they
Yes,
know?
I'm in a stranger's house.
Do they know?
please be
And they
safe.
have a dog. Somebody knows now.
Carissa, you
Come on,
have
Chill.
produced a
Go.
reality show.
I'm
Carissa,
nervous for you.
Carissa,
Oh, it's shutting down.
do this. She froze.
Huh? Oh, me. Oh,
I
so
see she froze.
so anyway, I was just talking about how I love visiting mom and dad, especially dad around like
Yeah.
game time.
Uh-huh.
because he's a Michigan State grad
Yep.
and he's real big into football, state football. I mean, crazy, like kind of like borderline, not regular. And then his best friend was really into Eastern State, right? Like
Okay.
or MSU, not MSU.
Yeah.
Because my dad was MSU, so he
MSU.
was U of M. That's what it was. U of M.
Okay.
You know
Yep.
how
They're
they
the rivals.
rival,
Yep.
and I don't even know why they do this, but it's like torturing of together. I don't know. So they get together at my dad's house, and I only go because there's great food. You know what I'm saying? And they entertain
Yeah.
me. That's why I was going because it was gonna be a fight and not on the screen. You know what I'm saying? So I would go, and they would be cussing each other out, like and I thought that was funny. And so I was talking about how they go and like they are able to play sports and when they're 70 or something. But they like trying to tell them people on the screen what to do. But it's funny because they would go at it about this game, right? And I was just talking about that and how funny it was. And don't you know, my mom like sent me a message. She said, Carissa, I just think
Your mother is a sweetheart, y'all.
I don't think you should have maybe talked about that because now everybody's gonna know that your dad cusses.
Oh my God.
I'm like, you think that is a secret?
See?
Number one.
My parents, they love it. They love it when I talk about it, especially if they come to my shows late. And I'm just like, okay, so this is what's happening now. They're the ones that are being, interrupting me. So I'll incorporate that. But they laugh and they're just like, okay, Arthur, I haven't had any issues with anything I've done or said with them. My husband is like, again, funny is funny, but respect the vows, respect
Yeah.
us, respect, because he knows I talk about my ex. But it's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
And then of course I always put something in there about him, about an argument that one time we had, and I called myself. We were newly married, so that whole you sleep on the couch, that wasn't gonna happen. So I talk about that because now it's funny on how I locked him out of our room and how he took the door off the hinges and was like, "We don't do that here."
What?
And I was like, torn but turned on.
Yeah.
But I'm like, he came and got me, y'all. He came and got his business. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
But it's funny
clever.
because I did that. And I had this first lady was just like, that is just, that was, and her husband found it, thought it was so funny. And she was like, I don't know if I would. And then she got so serious about it. And then I was just like, should I like not do that or whatever? Her husband was like, funny is funny. You're not going to make everybody laugh.
Yeah.
So I just kind of took that as I'm not going to make everybody laugh, but whatever, it's at least if I can make somebody feel better about whatever, feel good about themselves at that moment. So I think like after the show, I like commented on how I liked her church hat or something, and she was just all bright smiles and everything, and she felt good. So I'm like, that's what my job is. I'm here to make a person feel good. If I can't be on stage, then I will tell her that her ugly hat is really pretty. She'll think it is, and
But isn't it kind of funny, like, or maybe you've never been in a situation, but like you've been on a stage and you had ha ha on this person, and then you see them in a personal type setting, and they probably do they give you dirty looks? Like do they be like give you the side eye?
Right. Yes.
That's
I have. And I'm just like, you know what? I had way more people clapping for me than your curls.
It was worth it. Yeah.
So I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think
so
for me,
definitely.
because you're a comedian and you're on stage, and so you're gonna see those people for that night, and then that's that.
That's it.
And that's it. And I think that's something I struggle with, and I can't do the broadcast and do it maybe because I whatever. But if I'm speaking to a small group of women, like off of camera, I would be able to share some stories. I mean, I don't know. That's how I can get around it. But it's like so many funny things or so many enlightening stories I want to share, but they don't always involve just me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like I don't know.
I'm telling you, but you do, you have a gift. And I had even told Nedra this morning, I was clowning around and I was like, you know what? I said, we just need to get like a reality show. Me, you, and Juanita get a reality show, and Carissa can be the producer and she can do this. And she just produce our and we were just laughing. I was like, I'm telling you, it's a thing. I see it. It's in the universe.
Oh Lord, that would be hilarious. Oh,
Oh my goodness.
wow.
Where did she go? That was so hilarious. I'm like, you got your own reality show right here. She's like, I'm scared for her. Where is she? I think
Oh my
she stepped on
goodness.
the dog or something. I heard a dog
Right.
bark. I don't know if she woke the dog or what.
What?
I
Oh.
heard a dog.
Oh.
Oh,
Wow. Well, I was checking out some of the things that you have coming up, and some of the. Well, you know what made me go look at, because your show coming up on the 19th.
yes.
I was just looking at the other stuff on that page, like a lot of comedy stuff and jazz and music.
Yeah.
And so, do you do mostly? Are you mostly in the Detroit area? Do you get outside of Michigan?
I have performed in Chicago. I performed in Chicago. I performed in Ohio. I'm trying to think where else have I performed at. I've done Mackinac Island. And that was fun. I did a couple of Mackinac Island shows. I was like, I really like
Wow.
Mackinac Island. But
What
throughout the
kind of
course
show
of
was
time,
that? In
yeah,
Mackinac
you said what
Island?
now?
What was it?
You said, I'm sorry, what did you say?
What kind of so Mackinac Island, like, cause it's all
Yeah.
isolated. Like, so what? How
It
did
was
that
a
come to
women's
be?
retreat, and I was there for the women's retreat, and I was the MC one night, and I did comedy, and then another night I was headlining, and it was like, okay, great. So yeah,
Oh,
hey, there she is. I'm like, this turned into a reality show. Where's she go? Where's she
I
at?
stepped on the dog.
I
it
heard
sounds
it
good,
all.
Meleza. It
That was
sounds
funny.
good. Well, what I know you did, but it sounds there's no echo.
I'm in my car.
It working good.
That was hilarious, though. I'm like,
But
that is too funny.
Danny's telling us about a show that she did because she was. I was asking like, what other shows do you do those shows outside of Michigan or what other place do you go? But she was saying Ohio and Chicago, but she was telling me she did a show in Mackinac Island, and I know
Yes,
how isolated that place
yes.
is. You know,
It
so
was
I was like,
funny.
how did that come to be? Because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was actually a women's event, and they had other women there. They had went there for the like a women's retreat, so I was able to kind of do the comedy that way at the women's retreat for a church that was really good. And I'm like, this is nice. When I was there for like 4 days, my ultimate goal when I'm like, okay, yes, I have arrived. Get me on a Carnival cruise. That's what I'm gearing for. That get me on a Carnival cruise, like so I can do a Carnival cruise. And I've been on about 14 different Carnival cruises, but I want to perform on a Carnival cruise.
Yeah.
So like yeah, but the cruise ships. But yeah, so I mean I'm just like basically been around Michigan, different locations in Michigan, Flint, Michigan, when they were trying to raise money for the whole water crisis, I've done that. Different churches and things like that. So I
Wow.
pretty much think it's a place in Michigan that I really haven't, tapped into, and I'm still around, so always looking to do more. So yeah, yeah.
So you both have shows coming up, right? Because I know yours is on the 19th. Melissa, the show that that I found out you were going to be a comedian, that you were, did that happen already, or is that coming up?
No, she actually rescheduled. I had some health issues come up and had to have some tests. But yeah, I'm gonna make sure I let you know
I want to know.
when it,
Just
yeah.
because,
And
I know
Danny, you're
somebody.
close.
Yes,
You're
we
close.
are. And it's going to be so much that weekend because it's Father's Day. So I'm planning this. I can't even say it because my parents are, but whatever. I'm planning this huge surprise and this for my parents for their anniversary. And then my anniversary is next Monday, the 21st, with my husband. And then we have Father's Day. So so I have the show, this Father's Day event. I have all my family coming, and my husband, I hear him now, so she uninvited 40 people. We got 2 chairs, whatever. We're gonna get those 2 chairs. So we're having us. It's gonna be like huge. And then I get the dog sit for my nieces on Tuesday, so I'll have them all the way until Friday. I have 2 dogs and my own dog. It's gonna be just a crazy 2 weeks. So I promise you, I'm just y'all check on me. Y'all check on me and be like, is she okay?
I'll check on
On
you.
the 22nd,
I
June
will. I'll be checking on
22nd,
you.
I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm gonna go to sleep.
How do you guys, the two of you, like how do you get? Do you have somebody that gets the jobs for you? Meleza, you kind of yours was like a wonderful gift that fell from the sky. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But like, how do you go forward? Well, Danny, you've been doing it for a couple of years, so you might have a rhythm. But how do you get a gig? Like, how do you do that? Or do you have an agent? Do you guys have agents?
I don't have it. And actually, like you said, it kind of just fell in my lap. It was just a gift. So now, like any gift, I don't want to take it for granted, and I know I have to do my part. So now I'm in the process of learning. So I had to link up with like Dani and Michael and everybody, and and have a growth.
Yeah, it is.
You guys have to
Honestly,
connect now.
yeah, it's you definitely you network. You definitely network. So I get people. I've gotten shows based on Facebook, Instagram, where people are like, "Are you a comedian?" I'm like, "The name says comedian Danny. Ha ha." No, my parents just ran out of name, baby names. They didn't have any baby name book. Yes, I'm a comedian. So I get stuff like that. Or I get people who have seen me perform at a church, and it's like, yeah, I have this event. My sorors have this event, or and it's like, okay, yeah. So I say I'm grateful for what comes. I do have a booker who sometimes, if I'm available, he'll call me and say, hey, I have something clean comedy. It's at a church. It's nearby. You feel like doing it? And I'm like, yeah, send me the details. Okay, yeah. And then I'll go and I'll perform or whatever. And it's like, all right, but that's kind of far from the community because he's a good friend. So I'm like, okay, great. I do a lot of private shows. The funniest one I do have coming up, I did one for a 90-year-old, her birthday party. I'm like, this is really for her grandkids and her kids. This is not for her because ma'am was just sitting there like, what? It's time. I'm time. I need my cake and I'm ready to go to sleep. So, but it was fun though. And I'm like, okay. And then I got booked, a good friend of mine who wants me to perform in July to do actually a memorial service. They're doing a dinner in honor of his late father. And I'm like, okay, so the jokes are going to change up a little bit. Okay, all right, because this is totally
Girl, I thought you was about to say the lady died at the party and they wanted you to perform at her memorial. I was like, what?
no, the one it was the 90-year-old. I literally my sister was look real quick. My sister
Look, don't knock them 90-year-olds. I'm gonna be like a Betty White, honey.
no,
It don't stop
I worked
till the
with
clock
senior
drops.
citizens. I worked with senior citizens for 13 years. I had independent senior citizens, right? So no, I don't knock the seniors whatsoever. But no, we were sitting there laughing because my sister, we were talking about being that she's at a doctor's appointment, it was going on too long. And I'm like, just start stealing stuff. So she's on the phone, like, what? I'm like, get that defibrillator. So she was like, what? I got a show coming up with this 90-year-old and all her friends. I might need that defibrillator. So we were laughing or whatever, cracking jokes. This is how I get comedy. And then we turn around and I get a phone call to do a memorial service. I'm like, I ain't gonna need a defibrillator for that one. Not gonna need it for that one. And then the person who booked me is just laughing, like, you can use that. I'm like, I don't know.
See, I'm gonna have to make sure I'm rich. They gonna put me out of a nursing home.
Girl, they can put you out of a nursing home.
I'm gonna have to make. If I am in a nursing home, I want to pay the one person because I plan. I'm telling you, I think that activity, and I want to stay active until I can't. So even when I got bad mobility issues now. So that's why I was just thinking like, dang, 90 years old, I'm not gonna get my legs up. But if I got money, then I can pay somebody to hold my leg.
You can. You really can. With money, girl, they ain't gonna even care.
Yeah. I could have put my legs up on stacks of money.
Now you thinking genius. I like that. Because that's sexy too. That is so sexy. You can have some red bottoms, but they ain't never got to touch the floor.
Look, I got some boots. I have a boot fetish. I love thigh-high boots.
Oh my God.
Everybody are like, where do you go in them boots? Nowhere.
It don't matter.
I can't walk in them, but they look beautiful in the air. I will really just lay there and take pictures of my own boots in the air.
I got a pair for Christmas, right? I had foot surgery. But my husband, they came at the last minute, so I had, everything taking forever to get in. So I had surgery in October. The boots came the week of Christmas. I put them boots on Christmas Day. He was like, "How does it feel?" It hurt. You want to take them off? No. And they were thigh-high cowboy boots though. So I ain't wear them for nothing. But I wore them on Easter. Now Easter in Michigan, it was actually about 70 degrees, but I didn't care. I wore these thigh-high because these are boots that you wear in the snow. So I wore these thigh-high cowboy boots. Everybody said, "Them boots is, oh my God, you killing them with them boots." Yes. And I'm gonna go home and take them off because I can't do nothing else with them. And I was
because they was killing you. You was killing them boots and they was killing you.
Right. But my foot done healed up by the grace of God, so I'm gonna wear them boys again.
Oh Lord!
I'm gonna wear them
I have
again.
some thigh-high boots, but they don't look good on me. I look like a streetwalker.
You said what?
Some of them look good.
Some
No.
Look, I lost a lot of weight. When I was bigger, I couldn't fit them up over there, but since I lost all the weight or whatever, it looked like I was standing in water. But I don't even care. I'm gonna wear them. Because
I lost 188 pounds too. I lost a lot of weight too.
120. I'm with you.
Right. Ooh,
So I was like,
divas. You guys have a lot in common, actually.
Yeah, and I love it. People were like, "Oh, you go crazy." I was crazy when I was bigger. I'm stingy with my new body.
Girl.
Like they had the big one.
But
I'm stingy with this.
But I tell people all the time, they're like, you need to be the bigger person. No. That's what the surgeon took care of. I don't have to be the bigger person right now. I can be petty. I don't have to be.
Somebody said, "Why would you lose all that weight? Everybody that loses the weight gains it back." I'm a foodie. I said, "You mean I can start all over again? Sign me up." That's more years I have to eat on my life.
But I tell you one time I did lose 193 pounds.
Was it a boyfriend?
That's the actor right now. So yeah, he was gone. So that was that dead weight. So, ain't been back on me since. I kept that weight off. Gone. Yep. So where do we get our, you asked the question, where do we get our material from? Life. We get it from life experience.
I won't talk. All I know is that I'm not in a horrible way, but my son does. I don't know if you can see this. My son comes around and I just want to smack him. Okay, hold on. He does this to me.
He's so adorable. Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. Don't leave me alone. I just can't stand it.
No,
I wish that they could put a zipper in there and I could just use that as a pouch for real instead of carrying a purse. I always do purse.
I used to do that to my grandmother when I was go to sleep, and I would go to sleep. And that's how she knew I was sleepy. But Grand, she was really nice, so she didn't care. But me, oh my God, that would annoy me. Like, don't do that. Don't do that.
I never really noticed the underarm feel. I never really noticed that.
Like, I never used to have it. This is kind of like new.
No, but that's why you got.
I was always distracted with boobs. I don't know. I'm like
see guns, but
I never had them. My mom had huge ones, and I just remember her being in the bathtub and reminded me of a hammerhead fish.
Hammerhead. The hammerhead.
You know what's the crazy thing? My boobs didn't happen to, now they're like, I don't want as much boob as I have. Now I have to adjust my clothes. And Michael finally said, because we were about to go on a cruise a couple years ago, and he said, before we go, maybe you should go to Victoria's Secrets, because I'll never see you get fitted. You probably ought to get fitted. Because everything was falling out, and he's like, that's just not right. Like, you probably ought to get fit. And girl, all my life, I've been like a 34.
I would have been like, well, size me up. Size me up. Tell me what size I am.
He likes it, but he's like, don't like me to share it. So I've been a 34B I was like, it is kind of changing, right? And so I would go to a 34C. I don't know how that stuff worked. And I'm like, lady, a D. Girl, the lady said, baby, you are a 34 double D. You've been in the wrong thing for a very long time. A double D. And
You
it's
probably all have
uncomfortable. I
those
don't like
because
it.
we didn't. I was wearing
And
them
I
on
get the
55.
minimizing bras because I don't like to be like that busty. Like,
Right.
Girl, I lost all that weight. My bras are pasty now.
Let me see. You said it's what?
Look, I got a pin because I got to close up the babies because I want to
But
scare
I just
nobody.
found out I can get plastic surgery.
Let me tell you.
Because I hate the weight loss. Like I thought my boobs were gonna stay, but it looked like deflated balloons wrapped right.
Oh my God. I never had that issue, but I did lose my butt, and that was like the only asset I really had. And when I lost that, it was hurtful because it's like you couldn't even sit. With black women, when you don't have a butt, you're a black woman, and you
You
lose
gotta
that
have a
butt,
butt.
man,
I feel you. Yeah.
it's like losing.
If you look at me directly from the back, it looks like I have butt. If I turn to the side,
That's it. That's it. That's it. I'm
just
telling
let
you.
me turn my head this way and pretend my butt is butt.
No, now see, I'm like that up top. If I'm laying on my back, oh yeah, I got something. But if I sit up, I ain't got no flat stomach. I ain't got nothing to do. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing. But if I'm laying on my back, oh, it's on. It's on sexy. Yeah. But yeah. But you can't lose your butt when you're black though, because it's just not the same. Like that one year that I had got down to like 127, that was like the smallest I had ever been in life. I wasn't even that
Wow. I
size
haven't
as a
seen that
fetus.
and I don't never.
I wasn't even 127 as a fetus, but when I had used to wear like the maxi dresses, it looked like a tablecloth because
Yeah, that's what I said. I haven't worn a size 10 since I was 10.
I'm a size 10, but you know what? People look at me like right now. See, I'm very good at hiding my issues. You know what I'm saying? Like,
always had a beautiful.
but I'm
No.
a size 10, but I'm pushing it. Like, I used to be able to buy stuff online and not worry. I used to be a size 8 and not worry, but now I'm a size 10 funny style. Now it's like,
Yeah.
I get a size
The
10
funny style.
and I'll be like, can close the waist. Like, you know, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is happening? And mom will be like, I'll be like wanting to send her stuff, and she's like, she's a nice size 10. I'm like, how am I bigger than my mom? I mean, I shouldn't say that, but you're like, how is this? And in my household, Michael got on the scale the other day, just the other day, and I saw what it weighed, and I weigh more than him, which jacks me right the heck up. I'm just like, something has got to give.
I always say it's because it's about that time, and I put on like extra pounds during that time, like 10 or 11. I blow. I don't know. I come up with my own reasons. Okay, I blow. But
I said weight loss my butt. I was like, Lord, please take my edges instead.
you said me what?
I said I
Oh.
lost that weight, lost my butt. I told the Lord, take my edges instead.
Oh Lord, I
Go.
That was
know.
My butt back.
You know what? Let me tell you about edges though, because everybody was talking about getting vaccinated and should you get vaccinated? And I actually had somebody ask me at a show one time. They were like, how do you feel about vaccine? I was like, it's a personal choice or whatever. They're like, well, do you plan on getting vaccinated? And I was like, I probably will, because at first I did talk about it, like my belly button's gonna glow in the dark, this and this and that. And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm gonna pray about this, and who knows? I'm gonna ask the Lord to let my edges grow back. Maybe we don't know what's in this, so maybe it's gonna grow my edges back and stuff. And then people, then they come with, we don't know what's in that vaccine. If you ever had unprotected sex, guess what? You took that risk then too. So guess what? You didn't know what was in there either. So go on here, do what you got to do. Make a choice. Be responsible. Just be responsible. It's up to you, man. Be responsible.
Well, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but it damn sure make it easy.
Oh my goodness, this is too much. So,
But I was like,
listen,
hey,
what kind of advice would you give to a young comedian starting out?
Ooh, I don't want to get sued.
you don't want to get sued.
Yeah, I'm not telling nobody. No.
I want to get sued. Okay. So one thing I will say is don't drink till you come off stage because if you can't hold it, it's gonna show. They gonna. So I will tell you. But more importantly, if it's something that you thought you wanted to do, you put it on the bucket list. Take it off the bucket list. Do it. I mean, nothing beats whatever. Do it. Just do it. It's like to sit up here and do it. Go on, do an open mic. I mean, that's gonna be your telltale to be like, okay, my brother, he said he wanted to do. I was like, you are hilarious, man. You should do this. You should do that. And he went up on his 40th birthday. He went, did an open mic. Everybody laughed. But of course, it was all family we had there. But he was really hilarious, and he was really good at it. And I'm like, you think you want to do this? You think you can do this? Whatever. I kept pushing him for it, and he was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And then next thing I know, he's like one of Detroit's most up and coming, mad major DJs because I guess the comedy thing is really doing it for him. So he's doing the DJ thing. That was his outlet. That was his thing. But he had to get up there and see if it was something that was for him or if it wasn't for him. So I tell people all the time, that's the one thing that was told to me when I was sitting on the podcast. Like, you know what, you can probably do. Go ahead and do it. Try it. Okay, fine. So I had some people who believed in me enough to say, give it a shot. And I appreciate them for that. And then you had other people willing to give you a shot. So I guess my thing is to tell them, like, if it's something that you're thinking, anything in life, truth be told, don't let it pass you by. If it's a thought you have, if it's something that you always wanted to do it. I mean, what do you have to lose? Seriously. So that's my advice.
My advice would be that is good advice, but on the flip side, if you are going to drink, do like me and see what your limit is before you go on stage. See, that was my thing. That's what got me on the stage the first time was them drinks. So what I needed to do, because I'm not a real drinker, I had to first find what drink I like, and then see how much of it could get me to the limit. And then I knew if I knew where not to go past because it'd be a different kind of show. So I would say to, just know your limits. If you're going to drink, know what your limit is. But yes, definitely. But even if people see when you try and don't look at something as a fit, don't look at it like that. Look at it as a try, as a step for success. The person who invented the vacuum would have hit at 180. Everybody said those 186 tries were failures. He looked at it as steps towards success and had to get quit at 186. He never seen success. So don't quit. If it's something that you want to do, then hone your skills. Get around people who pour into you. Figure out your niche and go from there. People look at you, look at what you do. You have to know why you do it.
Very well spoken.
And that's with anything you choose to do. That's good advice for anything. Now I want to remind you guys to give me all. I think I may have all. I have Dani's all her links to everything. But Melissa, you have some books, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they can be found on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Exlibris.com. Personally, the nonfiction, Right the Wrong, Memoir of Unmerited Favor. That one is out now. This is me happy within 6 weeks that I'm hoping that cover's done, things ready.
Keep me posted on the where people on the link so I can share that when we share this. And Dani, your website has some information. I think it talks about your background, how you kind of got into it, and that you are you still writing?
I actually just recently accepted a position with a company, and it's an amazing company. And I've been really kind of since December, I've been just kind of like putting so much into that. However, just recently they did approach me, and they're like, you know what, we might have something for you to do comedy for us, and they're a big company, and I was like, oh yes. So I'm still doing that portion, but writing, I look at it and I'm like, I'm always, it's gonna happen. So I tell people who's like books after books, it's like, this is so amazing, and I'm like, I got them all up here, I got them all up here, I gotta write them down, I gotta write them down. But yeah, so the website, I do need to update some stuff on there a little bit, move some things around, but always working, always a work in progress.
I'm just excited to see what is happening, what's about to happen next for you guys, and I just want to see more. Like, Meleza, I don't want you to let this. I don't want it to be by accident that you got this gig. Look, I need you to do some other stuff. Okay, like, and I can't wait to come to Michigan to see you guys. Like,
I know, and Danny, I want to link up with you. I would love to,
yes.
and see, that's perfect because see, you're still a stranger, technically. I would love for you to come to a show.
Definitely, man. Definitely. We got to link up social media, whatever.
Don't be offended because when I see you, I done slept with you.
You were good. You were good. You were good. You were good.
That's the attitude I like.
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you guys are connected. It's crazy how the world is really so small. Like, it only took, like, I just happened to know Dani through my sister, and I just happened to know Meleza through happenstance, and I'm just gonna figure that out. But I don't, it's like a wonderful thing that has happened, and this is what has to happen all the time. You know what I mean? To bring each other up, and for people to see women bringing each other up, because that's how we get up. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't, like, sometimes it's not fun to be doing it alone. You know what I'm saying? And also,
Right.
it's good to see us push each other up. So
Yes.
this is like,
And I
it's
tagged
hot.
you. I tagged you yesterday. I know you saw it in the post that I did post, and I put all these different women in there. And I promise you,
Yes, I saw
I did
that.
that because I wanted them to know, like, she might reach out to you, but I mean, this just it's amazing women that are doing things that are, working from home, that created their own. This one woman, her and her best friends and her sorors, they decided during the pandemic that they were going to create a studio. Her name is Dr. Danielle Nicole, but they decided they were going to do a selfie studio, and they have a studio in Detroit where that's what they do. And people have been paying big money to go there to have a professional studio, and they have all the props and everything. And they just made it to Essence. They were in the Essence magazine.
Wow.
So I saw
And
that
wouldn't you
yesterday.
have been shocked if it was your house out in the backyard?
I'll be like, hey,
I am in Detroit.
right, see? I'm like, hey,
I
come
was
on,
opening that back door like, what is in here?
what you doing? What's she doing here? I'll be like, hey, girl, come on in. Just come on in.
Oh my goodness.
Come on in. Come on in. So, yes, I'm
Wow.
telling you. And I do have a dog, so that's why I had to look for my dog. For my dog.
Well,
She
I
here.
hope I didn't damage that dog because I sure stepped on him. He said, oh.
That dog got 9 lives or something like that. It's got something. It's
Wow.
got something. Next time you come to Michigan, Chris, I'm telling you, and me and Melissa, we're gonna be hanging out. I'm like,
I
did you
know.
know
Look, next time I go, we're gonna go. Melissa's gonna show me how to kayak.
Hey,
Yes, yes, yes.
do it.
I,
That's gonna be
I'm
fun.
scared, but I'm gonna do it. I'm not joking around.
I'm scared, but I'm gonna
I'm
do it.
still scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
And I'm going to start sending people to my shows to Danny. So they're going to need Jesus once they leave my show.
See? And I'm gonna say, you go see Melissa because she need. Go on ahead. Y'all need to hear the truth. I'm just here to lie to you a little bit. So you feel better.
Right. Tell them they come see me and they can see how God really works. works on me.
Work in progress. Work in progress.
Right.
So,
And see, we don't have to be perfect. See, that's it. And see, I have a strong, very strong relationship with God. And that's one thing I tell him. God don't wait for you to get perfect, because you'll never get there. He gonna meet you where you at.
Yeah.
my
And if
thing,
anybody have a problem with you, you tell them to take it up with him, because that's who made you.
That's
and
right.
my thing too is that he don't want perfect people because he already got them. If you perfect, you dead, boo. You already up in heaven. So you here.
Right. If he wanted perfect,
Right.
Yeah, perfect.
he wouldn't have made us.
He wouldn't have made.
Yes.
We're here. We're here for a purpose. It's not to be perfect.
Right.
Not to be
That's
perfect.
right.
While I drip my drink all over myself. This happens. See? Try me now.
Well,
It is
we're
what you
gonna
do.
wrap it up, but I want to do this again. Like, in fact, my husband was like, because I told him, he knows how excited I've been waiting for this. This is the first time I've ever done this with comedians, ever. And
Better than I.
yeah, I mean, I'm honored. You know, like this, I didn't know how it was gonna go. I was like, they don't know each other. You know, but that's the best thing for me. I like the element of surprise a little bit.
Yes.
But you know what I mean. But I didn't know how it was gonna go. So I'm just grateful that you guys both were like, oh, okay, I can do it. But I want to do it again. And Michael was kind of like, I showed him your post, Dani, that you tagged me in. He was like, who are these people? I was like, I don't know, but I'm about to know. Like, I'm about to know.
I was out there. One
You
is
know,
she's a really good author. She's written a lot of books with like Shonda Tate Billingsley, Victoria Christopher Murray. She's out there. That's Gina. Colette, I saw that she was a big time realtor broker out here. I mean, and these are just people, and they've all come to my shows. So it's like they've all gravitated to come to my shows or whatever to see me, and it's like I support them with whatever they do, they support me. But it was just like I didn't even give all of them, you know. It's like it's just so many people who have poured into me. I'm like, I want all to be able to pour into each other. So I'm like, hey, if you can get it out there, if you can tell your story, tell your story, please.
Yeah.
Because one comedian, she literally gave up everything. She worked for the state of Michigan. And I mean, she just said, I want to do comedy full time. And I truly sit there and I'm like, wow. I'm like, bow down because you did that. And she's successful at it. So everybody kind of does their own thing. It's like the routes that they took, the roads that they took. But they still look a little old Dani said, but I just want to be a comedian because I was going to prove him wrong. And people laughing. And I want to do it again. Bring me back to your show, please. So, it's just,
well, you know what? Hearing you guys' story, and I wish we had all night because you both have a lot to say. I mean, that needs to be heard, and that's why we have to do something again because it's just so worthy. But you all inspire me. So the crazy thing is, I do this so people can be inspired. But in the meantime, I'm kind of working on myself too. So it's like it just like puts fire under me a little bit. Like, oh yeah, they doing their thing, and I get excited. Like, oh, she's a comedian. Like,
iron sharpens.
huh?
Iron sharpens iron.
it does. Iron sharpens iron. It does. That it does. And I
Yeah.
always thought you were talent. I always thought you were in front of the camera. This is the first thing I've learned about you today. And you said you were on the executive because I always, when you would come up to the school or I would see pictures that Nedra would have, and she'd like brag on her sister. And I'm like, she is gorgeous. I always thought that you were in front. I didn't know that you were.
They all, you know what? They kind of were trying to push me a little bit, but I hadn't come into that. I was better. I was like, I'm about making this money. Like I can make the money. Like you know what I mean? But like I would do some commercials, you know what I'm saying? And I would do things that had nothing to do with the radio station. Like I produced a few what is it called? Fashion shows, but like for colleges and for that kind of thing. But I never was on the radio. You know what I mean? I was never I was behind the scenes.
See, I thought you were behind the camera because you have always been so
no.
Radio? No, in front of the camera.
now that I know myself, I
Mm-hmm.
knew, and as I talked to all the ladies, you guys, and the people that I meet along the way, I'm I'm so in my element. You know what I mean? I'm feeling really comfortable.
Yes.
I don't know what to do with it, so I'm just doing this because it feels good, and then whatever God leads me. But at this moment, I'm just having a good old time. You know, like it's almost like reconnecting with people that you have met in your life. Like now I know you get on a different level than I knew you before. You know what I mean? And that's deep and special. That's something I'm going to carry with me forever. So it's like now when I go to Michigan in Lansing, because Meleza, you're in Lansing. That's where my people are. So like, and Danny, you're in Michigan, but it's like now I'm not seeing you just as my sister's friend. I'm about to hit you up. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like Meleza,
come on.
right? I'm about to be like, where are we going this evening?
Right.
You know
I'm
what I
over
mean?
here in Breakfast, Michigan.
Kayaking and cocktails.
Like, I'm
That's
so
what I'm talking
scared.
about. It's definitely leak up. Definitely.
But it's and I think there should be more of this. I think people are missing a boat when they are, oh, I got it, I made it, and I'm good. Good luck.
Yeah.
Get your own. That's not
Yeah.
that's not
Not the way it
healthy.
works.
And
It's
that's
not
us
the
as black people in general. We tend to do that to each other, especially women. Which is
Yes.
why
I heard somebody, a friend of mine down south, did a post, and in his explanation of us as a, he said that by design, I mean, whether it's by design or design, so whether it's work, it doesn't have to continue to be. And that most times, black, when they make it, just like in slave days, when black people got, they go back free as slaves, and then they treated them just like the white people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times black people don't want to free other people, they the one who hold.
Nope.
yeah.
And
And
it's
we
just
have to change that. The
we
more
have
people see, the more people see, like I don't know how many times people see, oh my gosh, like I don't know anybody who would do that when it comes to kind gestures and being generally a kind person. And I like to say good, because good is subjective. But kind, I say I'm a kind person, doesn't mean I'm always, I treat people in kind. And if you treat me nice, I'm going to treat you nice. If you don't treat me well, I'm not going to treat you. I'm not going to deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
yes. And I mean I think
You're not gonna perpetuate more of that nasty attitude. I'm not gonna get back to you. I'm just not gonna deal with you.
nope.
Yeah.
And I tell you all the time, being a Christian doesn't mean that I'm not going to speak my mind. It does not mean that I'm going to let you run all over me because I'm just this docile Christian. No, not only am I going to come correct, but I'm going to pray for you, let God finish it up. I just heat it up. You know, go ahead, Lord, take care of it from here. So, but yeah, but no, we still speak our mind. We just,
And speaking of your mind, I had to just have a conversation with somebody the other day because they were speaking of how they like I could be submissive. Totally wrong. Like I can't wait to be submissive to the right man. I'm not gonna let somebody be straight, but submissive does not mean passive.
no.
Right.
And
There's
being
definitely a difference. And these men are expecting me to be passive.
look, I'm gonna tell you, and Carissa, you can attest to this. I have no issue with being submissive because my husband is not an idiot. He is not an idiot. It's easy to be submissive to someone who's not an idiot. Now you got an idiot, then you have a problem being submissive. He's talking about something, just leave the car running. I'm about to run in here. Just, no, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Enough of my ex. You were saying.
I mean, I get that, because and now that, even when I wasn't married, I understood the difference between being submissive and being like a pushover,
Control.
Or whatever. Because I, uh, I have to compromise compromise sometimes. Sometimes I just can't have it always my way. You know what I mean? And so, and to be honest with you, sometimes my idea is not better than his. I mean, most of the time it is,
Right.
but I sometimes have to recognize when it's not and be a grown up girl with my big girl jaws and be like, oh yeah, babe, you probably got this one. Like, you know what I mean? It's just, and that's not me being weak. That's acknowledging, okay, this is the right way to go at this moment.
And then too, compromise sometimes comes with when you're supported. Like the one lady, when she said, he come home talking about I don't want to be a girl. Here, but you gonna throw him a cake.
Yeah.
See? And that's very true. That's very true. Wow. This has been really fun, Carissa. Wow, thank you for having fun here.
You guys, please promise to stay connected. Now you know each other's names. You can find each other on Facebook, and everybody.
Stop.
Yeah, that's me. I don't. Yeah.
I already went to Carissa's page and found you, Meleza. I already went on her page and looked you up. I stalked you.
But we will do this again, and Meleza and I are going to have a conversation, a whole nother. Seriously, I'm going to put something together, conversation on sex addiction, because I think that's something we need to talk about. And then you guys keep me up on what you are doing, so I can know and help you like get it out there in the world.
Definitely.
For fun. So we're gonna sign off. That is real. Wow, we're like just having girl time. I didn't have my wine.
We have fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely.
I appreciate you too.
Appreciate you. And it's so nice meeting you, Meleza. It really was. So thank you. I'm gonna stalk you later. I'm gonna find you on.
I'm gonna stalk you back.
Yes, all right. Look, I got 4,998 friends. I got room for you, boo. I got room for you.
I love it. Oh, my heart is smiling.
Oh.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, I will talk to you all later.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye. Oh, my mouse is not working. How do I do that? Okay, do that. And broadcast.